In a recent post on Twitter, Waka Flocka Flame shared a tweet about his meet and greet being canceled due to his support of the fascist USA president, to be Donald Trump. And he says this: imagine living in a country that was built on free speech to ultimately find out free speech is only given to those who don't go against the system. A lot of people need to wake up. Y'all being used for a bigger agenda. Free speech is free speech. My decision for who I vote for is my decision. Y'all talking about freedoms. One of my meet and greets events in D.C. was canceled today because of some people's opinions, because they harassed a liquor store until they canceled the stuff. Then they spin it like I did something wrong for having an opinion. That's freedom?
This is one of those things where, and we've discussed this before too.
We have.
Freedom of speech doesn't mean it doesn't come with consequence. I mean,
all the time.
It is. You can say exactly what you want to say, and people can react exactly how they want to act, because that's part of the freedom too, right?
Right.
Well, freedom of speech is freedom against persecution from the government. Not freedom of speech against my friends and the people that are across the street.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't know what that is.
That's a bar.
And part of the situation with him too is he was speaking so much about this situation and pretty much co-signing President Trump, and he's never voted before.
That part.
So you having this huge, you know what I'm saying, hurrah for this man, and you've never done anything political, and all of a sudden you want to be that guy.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something, if you're going to be about it, be about it. But I mean, this is just one of them things that he effed around and found out that it can affect your pockets.
What you think, Jay?
I'm pretty sure there's some place where you and Amber Rose and Le'Veon Bell, y'all could all get together and, and you could get your money somewhere. But, don't come around, especially after you've seen what's happened in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Where Trump is like, I want white reparations for white people whose feelings have been hurt.
Well, that's actually old.
Is that old?
Is it?
Old. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But still, I want my reparations.
Yeah. But
hope you get them, buddy.
Thanks. You too.
I mean, I know it's not old. I've seen who's appointing to his cabinet, and
Steve Miller is like a Nazi.
Yeah. And so you decide to come out in support of this, and understandably, there are going to be people who share your reflection who are not going to be excited to be around you, considering these are the people you endorse, and you have to you got to take that. Either that, or you need to explain yourself a little better than just saying this is my guy.
Are there any ramifications for artists moving forward that may choose to go this route? Is it going to?
I hope.
When's the last time you heard anything from Chrisette Michele?
That's where I'm going, but my question is, with this, because the world right now where it is and everybody's on 10 based off the election, can the ramifications for artists that come out like this, can it get worse? What do you
mean get worse?
When I say worse, I mean backlash. We in cancel culture. He missed a bag here. I don't care what nobody say. He missed a bag here.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to play it off like with the speech and all that. He missed a bag here. So I don't know what it's going to look like, because there might be some people that just come out and
I'm just thinking,
pro the president, and it might be some different ramifications that come up that haven't been in the past.
I'm ready for this 4 years to get started. I'm past Kamala not winning.
Right.
At this point, I don't care.
Yep.
It is what it is. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And if some people are going to backpedal, or I want them to prove people wrong. I want this situation to prove people wrong in the right way. Essentially, you know what I'm saying? I'm cool on this being a situation where, now we got to backpedal our support because this ain't what we thought, when it is exactly what you seen up front. Like, even I hate to get off topic, but it is kind of on topic because we're talking about Trump and him winning the whole Project 2025 and how he's anointing people to his cabinet that are part of that Project 25 that he said he didn't know anything about.
Right.
So it's like, there's a lot of lies that are about to be uncovered over this next 4 years or so. And I'm just wanting people to match that same energy that they had when they were so gung-ho about who they decided they want to be.
So you really are looking to see who's going to, quote unquote, stand in the paint on what they
because
said.
I'm not somebody that wants the country to fail. So I'm not about to sit up here and be like, well, I hope this is a shit show, because people don't understand. We have to live in a country that other countries watch as well.
True.
So when we don't do good on the united front, that makes us weak, essentially, at the end of the day, you have to stand behind whoever they decide to choose and put in there. I don't have to G for everything that he says, but at the same time, I stay on American soil. So these are American policies. If I don't like it, then I can be like, well, I mean, I knew this was going to happen. So I'm hoping that I'm proved wrong along with a lot of other people. You know what I'm saying?
I respect it.
Well, I think that, I just to play white devil's advocate, when
you like playing that a lot.
Yeah, so I got to do it. Sometimes when we talk about, Waka Flocka and the backlash and 𝗗𝗘𝗧𝗦, the backlash you get from associating yourself with conservatives, who's to say there's not going to be a certain backlash for, I know it's the second segment in the row, but we're talking about like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, because, you have to understand these are people who have large corporate backings. And when you're talking about large corporate backings, you're talking about people when you get higher to the top there's a good chance that they're conservatives. And,
well, like not necessarily.
What if
liberals are up there?
What if, and if these people have stood in being apolitical up until this election cycle, what if that starts to actually affect their pockets?
They were paid handsomely for those appearances.
I mean, yes, yeah, they were given, but we're talking about going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What if, some of those people who come to those festivals, I look at the makeup of the crowd a lot of times when you see these people twerking on stage with no shoes on, and it's not us.
Well,
and so
Taylor's still selling out.
Well, we saw that up close in person.
She's an outlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But, you just never know. For some of these other folks, we're acting like it's just going to affect people who are supporting Donald Trump. There are people who came out loud and proud for Kamala Harris who have been apolitical up to this point, and who's to say it's not going to affect their pockets as well?
Possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, that's true. I have lots of thoughts. I'm just trying to think if this is the platform for those thoughts.
It usually is, bro. Most time,
considering what we're talking about here, this kind of opened the door.
Yeah, if you want to let the clip go, this is a great time to go ahead and let that clip.
No, I mean, so the freedom of speech thing is interesting. Is supporting a message in a quote unquote regime like Trump's, is that worthy of something to get upset over? I think that is that's a question that I would ponder or ask, I guess. I know my answer to that, right? Mm-hmm. But in this artist sphere of things, like is that legitimate? Like when we think about stuff in the sense of like commerce, mm-hmm. and we think of how everything moves, does it make sense? Like if they're still are we going to see people that are super MAGA, super conservative, be more brought in to these typically liberal-esque spaces in art and creativity and be normalized? Because that is the more dominant thing right now. If it's a Trump presidency, right? I still don't know if he necessarily, as far as like popular vote, I think it's still about 50-50, right? But white people have been edging their way into hip hop for quite a while. And, like you mentioned, you go to a hip hop show, it's mostly white people, white kids doing things. Jay mentioned that. It's like, what is the amount of acceptability for people with these beliefs within the culture, or just in general? That's the question that I would pose, because it's not really my space to say, mm-hmm. but I don't like any of them.
No, I feel that.
And there's many reasons behind this that I don't even know if I'm going to get into, but like, I don't like any of them, and I don't really want them around me. And so, but this isn't my space in that manner to kind of speak about it from a hip hop perspective,
Nah, I feel it's funny that you say that, because I went and picked up dinner from Texas Roadhouse. Mm-hmm. Truck comes through, blasting Tupac All Eyes on Me. He has a F Biden sticker on the back of his truck. Mm-hmm. So it's like hip hop culture has evolved into American culture, so to speak, because these same cats that came up and were actually cool because they listened to hip hop. It was a point in time where you could actually point out who were cool and who were actual people that would ride with you based on just what they listened to.
Facts.
That's not the case anymore.
Nah, because there's no reason that anybody that listened to Tupac should have an F Joe Biden sticker.
Exactly.
Like it all.
I mean, he's blasting it. So this is what he's about.
Yeah.
But he has an F Joe Biden sticker on the back of his truck. And I'm like, this is that weird American that we're about to be witnessing a whole lot. I mean, we're in the thick of it right now.
Oh, and
hip hop is just it turns into something that I can't identify you with now because everybody listens to it.
Right.
No.
So it's popular music. So like whatever somebody's listening to, I can't think that you have a certain political view just because you're listening to that music.
That is a very good point, bro.
Well, you know, it
used to be that.
Yeah.
It used to be exactly what you just described.
like at
you
least
could
they had
tell
some
a
sort
lot.
of, like if they listen to hip hop and watch Yo MTV Raps, they'd be like, maybe some of it's just a beat for them, but maybe they have some understanding of what's going on.
I give you the prime example. When you're coming up and you're in high school, it's kind of like the Little Brother story when Fonte talked about gravitating to ninth because of the Source magazine or whatever
College,
it was. When they were in college, right? It's the same way with that when you're younger. When you're in high school, like Lone and I gravitated towards each other because we were in music together, but we liked a lot of the same type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, he put me onto some stuff, I put him onto some stuff. But we were kind of like Ninth Wonder always says, the Jedis. Like we kind of just linked together, and we were like, yeah, I like this guy. He can speak my language. It's the exact same thing that Terry's talking about. Great point.
Look, I'll just know it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago at the restaurant that I work at, a couple days a week, where these two guys, they'd been in before, had on the Make America Great hats. Like they're like sitting there, like they're deep into MAGA, watching some speech on their phones.
Yeah.
And I control pretty much the playlist.
Yeah.
At the couple businesses, and
I see you.
boom,
and,
boom, boom. Donald Trump.
And Rolls Royce, I want to get next to you comes on.
Yeah, classic.
And giving the guy's bill, and he says, "Hey, is this Rolls Royce?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You never hear this out. I love this record." And I'm not thinking anybody who has on that Make America Great hat would go crazy. Would be like this, because it was a nice. It was like, because it does it by algorithm. Even though I put it on random, it was like Rolls Royce. Then it had, of course, I had the Maze and Frankie Beverly.
Come on,
and so it hit that pocket.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, I'm telling you, man, this place plays the best music. I really appreciate coming in here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to line up.
Yeah.
The fact that these guys couldn't have been more friendly, have engaged in, and then but when I look at that hat, I'm like, do you even want me to serve you your food?
Exactly.
I got a very good connection to that. So like, and then I think this is where we're heading down to in this direction, and I'm dealing with it personally, right? So there's something to be said about like you guys both said, or all said, we've all said, you used to be able to very easily, especially in Indiana, especially in where we're at. Everything's you could pretty much point out, and you look at somebody, you kind of know what you're going to expect for the most part. For the most part, every once in a while somebody will surprise you. Hi, like
thank you for saying that. Yes,
but every once in a while, like you generally speaking, you kind of know. And we're into an interesting era. Like I'm gonna shift it a little bit, but it's kind of on this same point, right? There was a recent like John Oliver from the Daily Show or whatever show he's got. And
last week with John, I think that's the name.
But he was talking about the mass deportation thing, and there was an article about Indiana, or it was about Indiana. There was an Indiana businessman. He's been here for 20 years, apparently undocumented guy. Started a business, and they had a panel of 6 people on, and all 6 people were like, man, they really like Roberto. They wanted Roberto to, they agree about amnesty, and they think that he should be here. But 4 out of 6 of those people voted for Trump. And 4 out of 6 of those people don't realize that Trump's policies is saying, hey, we don't care if Roberto is a good person or not. We're for getting rid of Roberto.
Yes.
And it's like that type of thinking of where there's a lot of conservatives, some liberals, but a lot of conservatives and neocons and a lot of MAGA people too that can look at somebody that has a specific demographic like, oh, I'll use myself for example. They can be cool and like my wife. She's Hispanic. She's from Ecuador. She speaks Spanish. She's an immigrant.
Yep.
They can like her, but then they can vote against her best interest at the same time. So you like this one person who's here, but you don't like who she is. We're going to be seeing a lot more of this and the confusion around this. I have a very, very hard time with stuff like this. You guys know that.
Yes.
And I like to just insulate myself, and I like to tell people exactly how I feel. And I'm trying, I'm gathering my thoughts post-election because there's some stuff I have to deal with. But I think in regards to this conversation, I think that's kind of what that's kind of pointing at, is that we're starting to see, like, there's a lot of people that think that it's okay to like hip hop, but to not like where the black people or anything that's a part of what hip hop comes from, or anything apart, like.
And it doesn't help.
I don't know how else to explain it right now.
Like J.D.
I love hip hop.
Says he loves the movie Boys in the Hood.
Yes,
that too, which was very random.
Yeah,
but it's like you like the thing, but you don't like the thing at the same time. You like the pieces of it. You like to point to it. You like to dance to it. You like to do these things.
This is the thing, and once again, this is
good point, Long.
Conversation. I'll pull a little bit from shout out to Bomani Jones. He said, but when you watch Boys in the Hood, Furious Styles probably didn't vote for Bill Clinton. If he did, he did it begrudgingly. Like a lot of his philosophy is informed, and a lot of the philosophy of that movie is informed by perhaps the Nation of Islam.
Facts.
Right.
And if you really get deep into what the Nation of Islam is about, it more lines up with certain tenets of conservatism
for sure
than liberalism.
For sure.
And so that's where sometimes the waters can get murky, because and then if you said that to somebody conservative, or you said that to somebody from the Nation of Islam, it might start a larger discourse.
For sure.
Sure. I mean, like I said,
that is true, because there's a lot of conservatism in hip hop in general. We've talked about this in the past as well, but maybe outside of conservatism in general, when it just comes to the I guess what I was trying to allude to was, like, when it comes down to just seeing people as human beings versus enjoying the things that the people are creating.
Right.
That's the brass tacks of it.
There's always been this discussion. I remember, for anyone who remembers Ebony Magazine, how America loves black culture but does not love black people.
Yeah, that's always,
it was like how they would let Sammy Davis Jr. perform in Vegas, but he couldn't stay at the hotel and he couldn't eat at the restaurants. But they cheer for him when he's on stage.
Oh, yeah.
But if he dipped his toe into the pool like Dorothy Dandridge did, they would drain the whole pool and sanitize it.
What's crazy? I'm old enough to know, or to have been around certain types of stories like this. Mm-hmm. Some of this stuff precedes us, even with our age. But at the same time, I'm old enough to have experienced hearing someone talk about they have friends at school, but they can't come over and spend the night. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, this is my guy at school. He's one of my best friends. I love him. We have a good time at school. And then when you go ask your mom and dad, can he come over and spend the night? They say, nah. I don't need to tell y'all why they said nah. You know what I'm saying?
It can be confusing, but at the same time, you look, I saw something today where the Google searches for Trump's plan went up after he got elected.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden people were interested in the policies after the election had already taken place.
Yeah. Not only that, I saw a video that checked the search results for Google. Mm-hmm. People are Googling if they can change their vote.
Yeah.
That's a thing right now, which is crazy.
Like 200%
Yeah.
Or the same thing happened when the EU enacted Brexit, and the next day it was like people typing into their search engine, "What's Brexit?"
Yeah,
and it was like, look, in Missouri, my home state, if you will, they voted to maintain a woman's right to choose, but they went for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So it's like when it gets personal.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I don't want this. But overall, everybody else, whatever.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, even it came down to a lot of people that immigrated to this country voted for Trump. Don't nobody hate immigrants more than immigrants that made it.
Man.
And it's disgusting when you think of it like that too, man, because it's almost like you're looking at people like you're better than them.
Yeah.
And you went through the exact same thing. But you don't want them over here. Because you almost feel like they're taken from your Americanism, so to speak. I don't know.
There's a lot of interesting tokenism. Like there's from somebody who has been outside significantly in Spanish speaking countries. Like there is this kind of way that a lot of people look at the United States as if it's like some sort of solution to something. Mm-hmm. And even though it is better in a lot of ways in a lot of countries, in far as opportunity is concerned, I definitely see that aspect of like people want to come here. I do see that, but there's a lot of people that look at the United States as like, well, if I can make it there, then I'm going to be somebody,
promised land, yeah.
You know what I mean? But but at the same time, I don't even know if I'm super upset. This is the thing I was having a conversation with my wife earlier. Like, I don't know if I'm more upset at the people or just the propaganda machine that is just misleading so many people. Because at the end of the day, I don't really think that a lot of these people that voted for Trump really would vote for Trump and conservative policy if they actually realized that the policy was trash and if they really knew what it meant. I really don't think so. But but they're grown-ups, so it's like at the same time
they have the right to vote, and that's how they voted.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I don't know, man.
Are you a classic Christian or are you a Trump Christian?
Yeah.
Once again, I call those people special interest whites.
Hey.
And plus, like when you talk about how like nobody looks down on immigrants as much as people who immigrated here and have already made it, a lot of times, like there are people who there's this term I kind of read up on. It's when people they're exceptional minorities or I can't remember. That's not it. But it's like, okay, they get here and it's almost like they're promised, we won't treat you like you're white, but we won't treat you like you're black.
It's the same thing to the poor whites in the Civil War and all that stuff. It's the same idea of the Southern strategy of,
right.
You you may still be poor, but at least you're not black. And so you're at least going to have that above so vote with us. Vote with us, the wealthy class of wealthy whites. Even though you're poor, and that's really kind of
that's all. Look,
we won't look at you like we look at them.
I told someone, and this is many years ago. You know, when you look at the how the taxes are set up in this country, and when people say they vote based on economic anxiety, look, you're not even you're white in name only. You're not even white on paper until you make about $400,000 a year.
For sure.
And so
everybody's voting against their interests.
You know, and so like when people say certain things, I was like, well, you know, I saw a text exchange with somebody who was like, I voted for Trump because of taxes and the economy. It's like, you work at, Texas Roadhouse.
$30,000 a year.
And it's not to diss anybody who works at Texas Roadhouse, but a lot of times when people say these things, it's like in America, and because of the way America is set up and how quickly we make unexceptional people rich, like the 𝗗𝗘𝗥𝗧𝗦 girl is a 6-figure earner now. Like, a lot of people feel like they are potential lottery winners. And so their mindset is that when they talk about economics, even though like you make $45,000 a year, you got 2 kids, and it's like there's nothing that would help you by voting Republican. But the idea that maybe one day you'll be rich. I'm going to vote.
Now I'm on the fries.
I'm going to vote for the potential of me being rich as opposed to my reality right now.
The potential. Everybody thinks they're a soon-to-be millionaire. If I just do a couple things, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Would you say, Terry, I'm on fries?
Now I'm on the lettuce. Soon I'll be on the fries, front line. I mean, it's just so much ignorance going on. And I actually found myself arguing with a couple people. I don't know why I did this.
Why did you fall for it?
I don't know, because sometimes it just drives me up the wall when I see certain
really grinds
things.
Your gears.
I'm just going to close it off by saying the mass deportation thing is very scary, and it is Hitlerian. And if you really do the research, there's like a one-of-one comparison of what he wants to do, and also the same stuff that Donald Trump is trying to do, and what Hitler really did. Killing everybody was not the number one solution. It was deporting everybody until they realized that they couldn't because it didn't make any sense because it was too expensive.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going to happen if they try to embark on that as well.
I've seen that conversation too where he's talking about, well, you know how many billions of dollars it's going to cost to do that?
If they want to deport just 1 million.
Yeah.
On average, $996 billion a year.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's not feasible.
No.
And so when you think about the pipeline and everything that has to happen, it gets kind of dangerous out here because you're talking about dragnets and you're talking about concentration camps and you're talking about prison systems. Like, it's not anything to play with. And it's not cool.
So no, Waka Flocka, you don't get your meet and greet at a liquor store.
No.
You don't?
Nah, man.
That's a good place. That's a good place to end it.
Go sit down somewhere.